This piece, Partita, is one of the earliest brass band works I wrote, written in 1971, and it was actually not written as a set work for a competition at all. It was written for a very fine youth band in Redbridge, which is a borough in London. And the conductor there, a guy called John Ridgeon, who was also a very good brass teacher, had this wonderful set of players, many of whom became professionals, by the way, in orchestras after this. He also had a very good view of commissioning new works. So he commissioned me to write this piece for them. And I wanted to write again a piece which was perhaps more orchestral. So we've talked about style. Some of my music is more brass band style than perhaps others. This is an example maybe of a band of band playing that can be more orchestral. And even though it's a fourth section piece, maybe the bands there can try to approach it in a kind of more abstract way of playing. Partita is usually a suite of dances in the Baroque style. This isn't really very Baroque at all, but the thing that keeps that hangs the piece together, as it were, is this 13th century plain song, Dies Irae, Day of Wrath, Day of Death. Quite a simple kind of stepwise kind of theme. That's the idea or motif which comes right at the beginning. And indeed, the last thing you hear in the whole work is the Dies Irae as well. And it forms the theme and variations of the slow movement as well. 3 movements: Entrada, chorale and variations, and march. And the beginning is again really quite kind of austere in a way. Very dissonant. Again, open intervals, fourths and fifths, not triads. And so that style of playing is very orchestral, I think. And then it comes on to the second theme, which is more sort of lyrical. Much more lyrical, and the idea, I suppose, is to try to contrast those two ideas more in a kind of different style of playing. Big job for conductors and also for the players. But don't let's forget, when we say fourth section bands, yes, okay, that technically that they're supposedly at the lower end of bands' capabilities, but don't let's forget, in most fourth section bands, there are a lot of young players. And those young players, some of them are going to be the future stars of tomorrow. So I don't think in any way we should dismiss fourth section bands, because there are going to be some very, very promising young players in those bands as well. And yes, you're quite right. The challenge in this piece is as much for the conductor as it is for the bands. So if the conductor kind of gets the style right, and again in the march, the right articulation of what a good march is, and then of course in the slow variation, because what happens in the slow movement, which is a chorale and variations, is you've still got this idea of the, remember? So there's the chorale, and of course it forms the basis of the chorale, and then you've got cornet solo and the usual kind of thing. That is, by the way, a very difficult cornet solo, which comes in at figure 7 if you've got the score, figure 7. And it goes on and on. It's a cornet solo that lasts for about 25 bars. And for a fourth section player, that's really demanding in terms of phrasing. So I'm looking forward to hearing a future star, young cornet, doesn't have to be young, future star of cornet playing that. And I shall be listening to the fourth section bands. And I should say to all my Dutch friends that I shall be listening to all the sections, not just the top section. It starts, I think, on the Friday afternoon with the fourth section bands. I shall be there listening.